Everybody, it's Allie Edwards, and this is the first of two videos sharing how I am playing with our newest Stamps Are Fun stamp set. This is a fun floral set. It's got filled in versions and outline versions of some flowers with leaves and stems, and then some top flowers as well. I started off just by kind of doing a little warm-up stamping, and I've never really thought of it this way, but it's actually a really good way to kind of warm up your stamping hands. And so I'm using just a few of our Allie Edwards inks here, and I'm playing around just sampling out what do these look like when they are just stamped on their own and when I've added the outlines and those sorts of things. At this point in the process, I didn't have an idea necessarily of what I wanted to do. I kind of had a little bit of a vision for an actual page that I wanted to play around with creating a border around the outside using these stamps, and you'll see that in a few minutes here after I do this initial stamping. But what I did end up doing with these little stamps that I'm playing with right now is I took a really small little 1-inch circle punch, and you'll see this happen in a minute, and I just punched out around, or punched portions of these out, and it turned out super cute. And so I want to use those in something else in the future, to be determined. Just basically essentially creating little embellishments by punching out these that I am stamping. So again, these are using inks from our just Crafters Ink collection. Love the outline, real thick outline on these ones. And then here I'm just doing these little random punches. So I'm getting a portion of the flowers. I laid them out in a grid, similar to kind of what I did I think it was last month maybe with some of the stamps, or maybe that was in the Storyteller kit, I can't remember, and used those as just embellishments on a page, and it turned out really cute. So I'll probably end up doing something like that. I started to fussy cut out these flowers, which is absolutely something that you can also do. And then I was like, I don't know if I want to do that with this one at this particular point in time. So I did end up punching these ones out with my 1-inch circle punch as well, to give me a few more of those smaller circle options. So at some point in the future, when I use those on a page, which will probably be in the next couple of weeks, I'll share that as well. With Stamps Are Fun, we're doing a variety of different stamp sets. So last month we had all text-based stamps, and this month we're going hardcore into the flowers. Okay, so here's the actual scrapbook page that I'm ending up doing. So I went and looked in my stash of 6x8 papers because I've been enjoying diving into my stash and using those. They're such great prompt-based papers, and or they have a design on them, right? That makes it really easy to have a jumping off point. So in this case, I looked at that big circle and I was like, okay, absolutely, I can add journaling to the inside, or I could add a photo. But what I can do around the outside is use these floral stamps. I'm going with the outlined version of all of these stamps, and I'm using a bunch of different greens from Tim Holtz. So these are Distress Oxide, or just general, I think, Distress inks. I'll put a list of the ones that I'm using in the blog post and in my description on YouTube. So if you want to grab some of these greens, spring is coming here, and I think that it makes me love all the greens even more. I'm just super conscious of color right now, I'm finding as well. And I think part of that for me has to do with I'm doing a lot of painting right now, and I think that that's playing a role in that as well. As you can see here in terms of stamping, I do have a piece of paper underneath, so it's catching the overstamps because I'm stamping off the edge of my paper. And you can see where I started a few different areas, right? And I'm repeating each of the stamps in at least 3 of those different areas around the outside of the circle. Once I finish this part, I will be printing out a photo. I believe it ends up being a 5.5-inch wide circle, and I actually set that up in Photoshop, and I'll print it out here at home on my printer, and then I will just hand cut it out, and then I'm going to end up pairing this page with some journaling as well, journaling on a secondary page in a 3x8 size. Loved playing with all the greens, loved the outlines of the shapes. This would also look really fun if you were doing the inside version of the flowers too, and you had them overlapping, and so you're getting some color overlap on the filled in one ones. I think that that would give you a different look and also look really cool. But I love how this turned out as a border around the outside. Then I grabbed my 3x8 pattern papers that I have from past kits and just kind of looking through here. This is going to go in my 10x8 album, so that's why it's going to have this little bit of a unique size here. With my 10x8 album this year, I'm just doing a wide variety of different sizes. Sometimes it's just a totally random size, and then I am creating ones on the back that fit that random size. I'm going to end up going with the numbered 3x8, and you can see right here I'm cutting out the photo. I ended up doing a picture of Aaron and I around the table a couple weeks ago. This is when I was kind of starting into this watercolor floral painting journey, and he was sitting at the table with me, so that's what I will be documenting. Still loving documenting everyday life kinds of things, the basics that make up the bulk of our existence, right? Sitting around the table with our family, doing the things that we love to do. So just hand cutting this, not worrying about it being perfect. We have no time for that. I'm going to be using foam adhesive on the back so that it sticks up a little bit up off the back of the page. I like the dimension that comes with that. I will also be taking the 3x8 along with my 6x8 page here and running it through my sewing machine. I've just been doing a ton of stitching on my projects recently, kind of going with the idea of like picking one color and sticking with that for a while. So I had yellow on here the last couple of months, or yellow on my sewing machine the last couple of months, and kind of starting here in March, I moved to pink. So we're going to be doing some a little bit of a darker pink on this one. So those of you that are in the Storyteller classroom for that subscription, you'll see more of the pages that are in my 10x8 album there. So pulling off the adhesive, I did a zigzag pink stitch down along the edge between these two, and then I'll be able to just simply add my journaling. So I'm going to look at my photo and I'm going to see, what do I see in this picture? What parts of my story are prompted by looking at this particular picture? What were we doing? There's a cat in the picture. There's some food on the table. What was Aaron listening to? All of those kinds of things are the things that I am jotting down here in my actual journaling. Actually, you know what? This pattern paper, this is from our travel collection last year, and it was about adventure. And I decided that everyday life is an adventure, and that's what I was going to use this one for. And it has sights and sounds and kind of paying attention. So that was a good jumping off point for just documenting some of the basics of what was happening. For this one, I'm using let's see what kind of, it's a Uniball pen. It's not a specific art pen. It's just a pen that I like to use. I'll link that in the bottom for you. That's another one of those pens that I just buy by the box because I like them for everyday life writing as well. All right, so just continuing to do the writing, continuing to look at the photo and pull out a little bit of the details. This was a Saturday morning before the girls had volleyball in the afternoon, so we were getting a little bit of a calm before the storm as part of one of the things I wrote in my journaling, the storm of afternoon wave in town volleyball tournaments for multiple days. I think this was on President's Day weekend around here. Going ahead and going in and underlining my actual journaling. And then the last thing I will be doing on this particular project is making sure that I get the date added in there. My favorite way to add a date often is using just a rolling date stamp. It's such an easy way to just stamp and add that directly onto the page. I will also be punching holes in here. I knew which orientation or which way I wanted it to go in the album based on some other projects I had. So I'm just lining it up with my 6-hole punch. This is the back of one of the other pages in my story album. And I'll be back tomorrow with another idea for this particular stamp set.